Sports Professor Rick Horrow, good day. Beyond the Scoreboard, serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. But now we have a business of sports that approaches $1 trillion. We have horse racing. We have the NHL and NBA playoffs. We have Major League Baseball heating up. NASCAR taking its next lap. Football beyond the draft. Beginning of camps. Golf and tennis with their majors. This is a time of year where you are a sports business person, day to day, wall to wall, hours to hours. And we have some issues as far as international business as well is concerned, and focusing on a couple of major corporations. First, Nike. Days after the EPL, Chelsea side announced the premature end to their kit deal with Adidas, they agreed to a multi-year jersey deal with Nike, $87 million per season. Nike continues to expand its role as one of the biggest sports marketers in the world. Another example, though, how about Carlsberg? Ahead of Euro 2016, they're planning its biggest sports marketing campaign in brand history for them, and the Danish brewing company plans to spend as much as $90 million on marketing around the tournament. The bottom line is they'll have billboards and hospitality as well. Their strategy to capitalize on the growth of the sport in Asia, particularly in Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore, especially around an event as big as the European Championship. Right here at home, StubHub does a jersey deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Believe me, more to come. The bottom line is this. The industry continues to grow. Corporations significantly involved in the industry. And we'll take a look at a number of different perspectives today. Pat Risch teaches at Washington University in St. Louis. Will have some insights for us first. Then it's tennis season and the U.S. Open just around the corner. Lou Scheer, the Chief Revenue Officer of the USTA since 2010, will talk about the inside workings of the U.S. Open. Finally, Nick Sakiewicz, who was a superstar on the field and then helped build Red Bull Stadium in Harrison and the building in Chester for the Philadelphia Union, now the commissioner of the National Lacrosse League. Very important in the business of niche sports. He certainly knows what it's like to be a businessman in a diverse industry. Lots to cover. Sports Professor Rick Horrow. Be back in just a couple of minutes.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Nicholas Rowley, Courtney Rowley, Dominic Pachota.
are trial lawyers who deeply care about their clients. The Trial Lawyers for Justice Law Firm, with offices in Des Moines, Waterloo, Decorah, Iowa, St. Paul, Minnesota, Chicago, and California. The Trial Lawyers for Justice Law Firm handles catastrophic personal injury, wrongful death, and medical malpractice cases throughout the country. The Trial Lawyers for Justice firm has won through caring about clients and refusing to settle cheap and believing in the justice system hundreds of millions of dollars in record-setting jury verdicts and settlements. Injury victims and their families will call 888-811-0844. 888-811-0844. And do it now if you believe you have a case and get the justice you and your family members deserve. Call 888-811-0844. Trial Lawyers for Justice.
Sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. We have a very interesting set of guests, academic, revenue, and different leagues, starting off with Professor Pat Risch, Washington University, writes for Forbes.com and runs an organization to do economic impact studies for stadiums called Sports Impacts, but he also talks about trends in the business from his perspective. Professor Pat Risch.
We'll deal with the academic side, but also the practical side. The guy who's covered both waterfronts from his headquarters in St. Louis. Pat Risch is the head of the sports business group, department, faculty at WashU, Washington University in St. Louis, one of the most esteemed schools in the country. He also has a company called Sports Impact, which deals with sports economic impact studies, which we'll get into as well. How are you?
Good, Rick. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So, as a kind of a grizzled veteran in the sports business space, I go back, as you know, to the leather helmet days and beyond. Give me your perspective about how the business itself has evolved, broadly defined, over the last, let's say, 30, 40 years. And most importantly, what may be the biggest factor that's caused that evolution?
Well, going to all these conferences and seeing all these young faces, I just feel like I'm getting old. I think that's the main thing I take away from the last couple of decades. But in particular, having a chance to go to a lot of the sports business journal events and conferences in the last couple of years, you're just impressed more and more to the degree to which technology is so critical. It's taking over the way the sponsorship and marketing world is being run. It's taking over the analytics side of things. We just started offering a sports analytics course at WashU in St. Louis. We had several tremendous speakers come in. Of course, you and I have both been attendees at the MIT Sports Analytics Conference. This was their 10th anniversary this year. So just amazing the degree to which technology, analytics, not to mention obviously going in hand in hand with this is the virtual reality, a big part of the new movement in technology. So you can't get away from just how important technology and analytics have impacted every single aspect of the sports industry.
Pat Risch, certainly a practical experience at WashU and otherwise. If you have people listening, and we have a lot of different kinds of listeners and viewers on this in this world here, and you're going to give them advice as to the diversification and the emphasis in what areas of business or law or in what you just said, tech, what would it be today? How do you best get ahead in this evolving world?
Well, I think that a lot of it, you've got mergers and acquisitions. I think that's an area where people can focus on. I think on the ticketing side, becoming familiar with the ticketing technology. So obviously the StubHubs, the Ticketmasters, the SeatGeeks of the world, this is an area which is just going to keep evolving, this whole dynamic pricing model, which is no longer new. It's just simply proliferating. I think these are two major areas. And then, Rick, I'll throw something at you from my experience this past year at WashU. We had, we'll have to mention at some point this connection between WashU and the Golden State Warriors, and the owner that just last night was the Sports Executive of the Year awarded by Sports Business Journal, and that's Joe Lacob. But thanks to Mr. Lacob and some of the resources we have, we were able to bring in several guests this past year. One of them was Populous, John Shreve. He's an architectural designer, sports designer with Populous. And some of the things that they're talking about and the challenges they're facing in terms of designing new facilities, making sure they're green, but also, at least at the collegiate level, how can you build facilities that help bring fans? Because, if you've read stories the last couple of years, universities have had a hard time keeping their attendances up at both basketball and football games. So these are just some of the areas and niches that I see as being, growing and evolving niches. And obviously esports is arising as well.
So obviously a discussion of all of these issues, as you correctly point out, begins and ends with tech. And one of the situations has to be how nimble and flexible people in the industry need to be to stay ahead of that. Media contracts that were written 5 years ago relative to digital and second screen and all of those issues are either outdated now or have to be renegotiated or rediscussed. And so from your perspective, what is kind of the one biggest piece of this whole technologically evolving world? What's the impact of it on the business generally, with the people who practice in it and the kind of substance involved with it?
Well, as it relates to sport media, there's no question that the ever-evolving ways that you can deliver sports content just creates more opportunities for sponsorships, for marketing, and even as recently as just this past week, on that particular note, you have ESPN talking about how they're now going to use some of these Nielsen metrics that help to try to better measure out-of-home viewership, which once companies like ESPN and Fox start reporting those numbers, that will no doubt increase their yield on sponsorship and marketing fees. But again, the technology, first of all, anybody that's a college student that's training in this area, or even someone that's maybe graduated a few years ago but didn't get quite the training on the tech side, you're going to have to play catch up or find a different avenue to pursue a career, because it just seems, as we've said before, Rick, that the tech side has really permeated everything, but especially in sports media, it just has, in my mind, created more opportunities for companies to monetize, ad space and the like. And for that matter, it's also I'm sorry to interrupt, but it also, when you think of arenas and stadiums, where the telecast of games, where you can get more sponsorship and ad space, but even inside of arenas and stadiums, they can use that tech to try to, again, enhance the revenues that they can generate. Obviously, we've gone from a day where we just have a static ad that's in a facility for an entire season, but now with the digital side of things and the electronics, you can kind of have a dynamic ad where it's one company for one period of a hockey game and another company for another period. So it's just more inventory that has to be managed now by teams and leagues.
It's all consistent. Pat Raish knows what he's talking about. He runs the program at WashU in St. Louis. Let's talk about the academic side of what people are now studying. As I mentioned, in the 70s, when we were trying to figure out what sports law and business was, it was you're an agent if you can find some athlete who calls you an agent. And clearly, over the past 40, 50 years, it's evolved. The issue of what people should be studying and how they study it, obviously you're on the sports law perspective. There are a number of people in, let's call it the sports business silo. There is marketing, there is administration. Obviously analytics is really important. Is there an opportunity today to amalgamate and coordinate all of this under one clearinghouse? Do you think that's a good idea? Should the disciplines be separated, or should they be practically combined as best they can? What's your take on that?
Well, my belief is that somebody, a young individual that wants to get involved in the sports industry, certainly it would behoove them to take a little bit of everything. If I'm giving a student advice, I'm telling them to take business courses. I'm telling them to take some introductory sports law courses. I'm telling them to take communication courses, and I would also encourage them, consistent with the first part of our conversation, that they need to become familiar with tech and or analytics. If they can do all of that, they become this five-tool player, as they say in baseball. You become a five-tool young individual that's now equipped to go any number of directions.
Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. Pat Risch, interesting, diverse, certainly talking about trends in the future. We'll talk about trends in the current, heading to the U.S. Open and what the next round of tennis money can be with Lou Shear in just a minute. Rick Horrow, sports professor, Beyond the Scoreboard. Be back in a second.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices when you can get brand name drugs at the lowest price? Call today and get up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply, subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now, 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Rick Horrow, the sports professor, Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously, heading into the summer. And at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, can be only one thing, the U.S. Open. Lou Shear, Chief Revenue Officer of the USTA since 2010. Before that, he was in executive positions at Madison Square Garden and Time Warner, a Duke undergrad and MBA guy, and certainly ins and outs of men's and women's tennis, especially as it relates to the U.S. Open in New York. Lou Shear.
Lou, how are you?
I'm doing very well. That's quite an intro. I'm thrilled to be with you.
Well, also in the fact that, you and some people close to you at the USTA come from that fantastic institution at Duke and then the Fuqua School of Business at Duke. So our basketball program it took a temporary valley this last year, but they'll be back on top next year, don't we think?
I certainly agree. I think if we could win every other year, that would be quite nice.
Yeah, right. Well, the Giants do it, the Blackhawks did it, so let's see what happens here.
Right.
We're not
well
here to
said.
talk that. We're talking tennis, and we're talking numbers, and we're talking economics. Broadly defined, when you came to the organization after MSG and Time Warner and Clear Channel and all of the diverse experiences you've had, you took an organization that was fundamentally different than it is today. How's the USTA changed, and how's the Open changed?
Yeah, well, thank you. I think, we're in the midst of a massive transformation, and a lot of that is physical. So if you were to go out to the National Tennis Center today, you would see over 350 construction workers on site who are 3 years into a 4-year transformation of the physical facility itself. We're investing over $600 million to ensure our venue's position as the premier venue, not just in the sport, but also here locally in the New York City area. That's a major undertaking for us, but we didn't allow it to simply be a construction project. We took it as an opportunity to really redefine our entire business. So we've shifted our sponsorship model. We're relooking at how we approach ticket sales and our hospitality offerings. It's really a unique position to be in as a business where you're successful, yet you can stop and sort of reset on the fly. And rarely do you have that luxury. Typically, it's when things go bad, you have to stop and reset. We're able to use this transformation and the completion of it in 2018 as an opportunity for us to sort of pause, relook our business, and say, what do we want to be for the next 50 years going forward, as opposed to how do we continue what we've been doing so well for roughly 50 years.
Fairly important point, Lou, because when you talk to other people in the sports industry, broadly defined, the facility is basically the corporate headquarters. That's where everything emanates from, the dollars, the boxes, the marketing, etc. So the facility has been in existence for a long time, but there is a fundamental change, as you said, to reflect $600 million plus. What exactly does a new facility or a substantially renovated / like new facility really mean to the growth of the USTA, the Open, and tennis in general?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to late August and September when you can physically be on site and see the transformed 42-acre campus, right? We're different than an arena. We're not just one venue. We've got 17 competition courts. We've got a major stadium that seats over 23,000. But the big pieces that I'd speak to, a roof now going over Arthur Ashe Stadium. It's the largest venue in all of tennis. It wasn't built with a roof in mind. It's quite an engineering feat to be able to put a roof on, retrofit a roof onto, or a retractable roof, I should say, onto an existing venue. But we're thrilled that we can do that. It will be a great benefit to our fans. It takes rain out of play from a scheduling standpoint. It provides schedule certainty for our broadcast partners. That will be the most visible piece just by order of magnitude. It's such a large project. But with that, we're also building, and we'll open this year, a new 8,000-seat grandstand stadium on another part of the campus. We are rebuilding all of our outer field courts, adding seating, adding more promotional space, more retail space, more merchandise and food and beverage space. So the grounds will feel completely new, more spacious, more amenities, more opportunities for fans to get up close to players on courts. It will feel like a new venue. The last piece of the transformation will be completed in 2018. We will demolish and rebuild Louis Armstrong Stadium beginning after this year's tournament with a retractable roof itself. That'll be a 14,000-seat new stadium with its own retractable roof. Another major undertaking for us, but will also provide just fantastic views and enhanced amenities for our fans, and even more now schedule certainty and competition for those who may just have grounds passes and want to have access to a stadium that's largely general admission.
Lucier, the facility is important. Frustration may be the wrong word, but is it possible that the New York community and the industry takes for granted the economics surrounding the 2 weeks of the U.S. Open and the prolific attendance numbers and the comparative economic impact? When you stack it up, it rivals maybe only a Super Bowl, which, as we know, is held once in a generation in New York, and you have this every year. So this is not a bitterness question. It's just, do you detect that the community may, take your prolific numbers for granted a little bit?
I don't know that it's so much it's taken for granted. I think we're a unique sporting event. We're an international event. We're a festival that happens to have tennis at its core. And so if you were to ask folks in the industry, particularly here in New York, about sort of other properties, other events in sports in New York, I don't know that we come up as top of mind, except for the 2 weeks that were being held. And at that time, people marvel at the number of people, right? Our attendance in that 2-week window is larger than the Knicks will do in a full season, than a NHL team will do in a full season, than an NFL team will do in a full season. Our TV viewership dwarfs any of the local or even domestic sports teams, because we have such a huge international following that is just a different dynamic than you would see with U.S.-based sort of teams and leagues. So I'm not sure it's taken for granted. I think we're in our own class and we're looked at that way. I mean, we host so many of the other commissioners and executives from other sports properties and leagues during the tournament. They're all there. They love the Open. They don't view us as competitive in any way, shape, or form. It's just another great sporting event. But I think we are seen as somewhat different. I think the festival atmosphere of it just changes. What we do is more akin to a World Cup every year.
Yeah, it just so happens to get the economic impact every year as well. International.
Yeah, no, and I think we've talked about this in the past, right? We measure that economic impact, and I think our most recent study was probably 2012, calculated roughly $750 million in impact to the city. That's bigger than a Super Bowl. Again, and on the surface, you may not think so, but when you think about 2 full weeks of impact and international fans coming in and taking up hotel rooms and spending money in New York City, not just at our event, again, it's just a different animal.
Absolutely, and I really think that people need to understand that. A segue about the economics for the international audience that hears this and watches this basically around the globe. Everybody understands the U.S. Open is in New York at the end of August, beginning of September, American Labor Day weekend, etc. The study you did, over 700 million people, can question assumptions, but most reasonable thinking people understand the dimensions of it, and it's even understated. How do you quantify the awareness, the mentions, the business that's done, the international destination aspect of this? Because, you and I both know that's well beyond the metrics of any given study, but yet nonetheless incredibly important.
Yeah, no, important to us, important to the players, also important to our corporate partners who associate with the event. There are a variety of metrics that we track to help us gauge our international exposure, penetration, whatever term you want to apply to it. So first and foremost, we do surveys on site. We know that 15% of the fans, 15 of the fans that come on site during the tournament are from outside the U.S., and we can even break that down by most popular countries and that sort of information. We track our digital traffic, and we know that more than 50% of our web visits, for example, come from outside the United States. And then we also calculate up viewership information from many of our international broadcasters around the world. Most of the more sophisticated markets have the ability to do that. There are some less sophisticated markets that may not be able to quantify actual viewership. They may be able to quantify reach or things like that. We're becoming increasingly more attentive and also sophisticated at trying to track our visibility and our event exposure around the world.
Lou Scheer talks about all of the issues relative to tennis, economics, marketing, and dollars. Certainly very interesting. Now we shift to soccer and lacrosse. We'll be back with that in just a minute.
Nicholas Rowley, Courtney Rowley, Dominic Pachota are trial lawyers who deeply care about their clients. The Trial Lawyers for Justice law firm, with offices in Des Moines, Waterloo, Decorah, Iowa, St. Paul, Minnesota, Chicago, and California. The Trial Lawyers for Justice law firm handles catastrophic personal injury, wrongful death, and medical malpractice cases throughout the country. The Trial Lawyers for Justice firm has won through caring about clients and refusing to settle cheap and believing in the justice system hundreds of millions of dollars in record-setting jury verdicts and settlements. Injury victims and their families will call 888-811-0844. 888-811-0844. And do it now if you believe you have a case and get the justice you and your family members deserve. Call 888-811-0844. Trial Lawyers for Justice.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Nick Sikevich, diverse background, played soccer internationally, also obviously involved in soccer. New York, Red Bull Stadium, Harrison, New Jersey, CEO of the Philadelphia Union, Major League Soccer, involved in the stadium in Chester, Pennsylvania, and now the commissioner of the National Lacrosse League. Nick, diverse experiences, and shares them with us now. How's that for an intro?
Oh, wow, Rick, that was beautiful. Thank you. I'm humbled by that.
Not the first time you'll be humbled by anything I say, and certainly not the last. So
for sure. I look forward to it.
Well, listen, you can, and you deserve it, because you're one of the guys that has crossed over in two major sports. So, Nick Sakiewicz, the person, grew up in American soccer, broadly defined, then went to France. So a little bit of your snapshot of your stellar playing career.
Not stellar at all. Born at the wrong time, grew up playing in the northern part of New Jersey in all the ethnic leagues. Had some success at the professional level, but had a very, very short career. It just wasn't fashionable to play soccer in the 80s in the U.S. I tried my skills in Europe, but that didn't work out. I did meet my wife though in Portugal. My last.
You're also a hero. You're also a hero in northern France, right? Aren't you a hero in northern France? Didn't you play there for like a week?
Hero? No, not at all. I was a third string goalkeeper trying to make it in a very, very competitive environment. But you know what? I got a beautiful wife out of my soccer career, and I'm very thankful for that.
That's probably the more important thing of all of that. But the interesting career, and we crossed paths getting the Red Bull Stadium done in Harrison, and then parlaying that knowledge for you into building the Philadelphia Union and the whole world of the MLS. Talk a little bit about that.
No, just a great run of 21 years. Started as one of the founding executives at the league back in the L.A. office of the league office in 1995, and helped launch the league. And then ran a couple of teams in Tampa and New York. And then you and I met in that incredibly difficult project called Red Bull Arena. But I'm very proud to say we did a great job there, Rick.
Yes,
that was a lot of fun. Great stories that roll up under the title of "You Can't Make This Stuff Up," but we got that building done, and then I took everything you taught me, and I went to Philadelphia, and really built a beautiful building right on the river of the Delaware River in Chester, Pennsylvania, and I'm really proud of that. We had a great 21-year run, and now I'm in another sport. Trying to do it all over again.
Without talking yet about the duties of the Commissioner of the National Lacrosse League, what's business skills, this is a business show, you think you kind of learned and possessed that made this transition to running a different kind of league possible?
I never thought I'd get another once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and lo and behold, the National Lacrosse League owners came along and presented one to me, so I'm very fortunate in that regard. But the business acumen in building, whether it's soccer leagues, soccer teams in a country at a time when no one really cared about the sport or wanted to care about the sport, and now in lacrosse, very much the same. I'm taking into the National Lacrosse League a 5-year strategic plan, which I spent the last 100 days developing and diving into, and that's what we needed in Major League Soccer. And when we were developing the league and launching the league and building each of the teams, you've got to have a strategic plan. And this one was, with the National Lacrosse League, was very interesting because we have so much to accomplish with the league. I needed to step back and really take a look at the compulsory things that we needed to do to really build the foundation of the league going forward. So the 5-year strategic plan is built on 5 key pillars for the league, those being we've got to build a digital platform, we've got to focus on expansion and bring more teams in the league and bring more strategic thinkers and wealthy sports owners to the table to help us grow the league. There's a grassroots component, there's a team services component, and then there's a commercial NLL 2.0 commercial sponsorship platform and a long-term broadcast strategy. And those are the things that really we started Major League Soccer with many, many years ago, 21 plus years ago. But it's that strategic planning, the discipline to stick to the strategic plan, and then the people. It's all about the people, getting really good, smart, strategic, thoughtful, experienced sports people to help build a professional league or an individual team. But I'm in the process now of looking for really good men and women to help me build this league.
Well, and the interesting thing about all of this is that Nick Sakiewicz, by the way, commissioner of the National Lacrosse League, capital C, not just some dump on the highway. This guy is the real thing. The bottom line of all of this is you could fill in the blanks and you could talk about a strategic plan. And I guess you could argue that Garber years ago and Pete Rozelle before that, market well-heeled owners, long-term broadcast strategy, corporate partners. It's essentially the same kind of conceptual road map for success as it is in all other sports, isn't it?
It really is, and roadmap is exactly what it is. You can't get to where you want to go unless you have a map or a plan on how to get there, and I'm a big believer in that. And that doesn't mean that plan is carved in concrete. It in fact, the opposite. You lay out that plan and you develop it and you tweak it and you polish it along the way. But you've got to have a long-term strategic plan. And also the other thing I learned in Major League Soccer is we did it in chunks there. So it wasn't a 20-year plan or it wasn't a 30-year plan. That's not realistic. But we did it in segments, and we're going to do the same thing in the National Lacrosse League. So we have a 5-year plan. Now that 5-year plan in year 2 or 3 might get accelerated, and then another 5-year plan comes along, and you build it. Because in sports, the sports business model is also part analytical and business acumen, but it's also socioeconomic. You've got a growing sport that lots of kids are playing, but you've got to nurture those kids because your market's growing. Sports like baseball and football, 100+ years old. There's multiple generations sitting in the stands and watching on TV. In soccer and now lacrosse, we didn't have multiple generations, and we have to. But we have a good thing, which is lots of kids playing the game. So part of our strategy, and you'll notice one of the core tenets of the strategy is grassroots. We've got to be in front of the fans of the future because it's socioeconomic. Mom and dad take the kids grow up, the kids become mom and dad, they take the kids, and the parents become the grandparents. And it's very much a cycle like that, and you've got to go through 10 or 20 years of a cycle to build a fan base.
I know you real well, and one of those things that you're required in that plan is something that very hard for type A's to possess, certainly you, and that's patience. So how do you deal with the fact that the success of this can be measured in relatively small increments, but the ultimate success is years and years away?
Yeah, well, that's patience and balanced discipline is really important in this role. And I'm 10 years older than when we worked together back in the day in the New York area. So I've learned that patience is a virtue. But I think deep down, I want things to happen quicker. So you just got to find the balance between patience and thoughtfulness and not knee-jerk decisions. And I've definitely learned that over the years. There's no question I'm much more wiser in my 50s than I was in my 30s.
Well, you were pretty wise in your 30s, and now that you're 55, I feel really good because, I'm up there too, and then I looked at your bio, and that's wonderful that you now get the AARP card too as well, right? Does that bother you?
Not at all. That's a great demographic, in fact.
They're supposed to be the ones.
55 is the new 45.
Yeah, well, A, and B, they're the ones supposed to have all the money. So, God bless us all. Here is my other question, too. Does it frustrate you, bother you, always talk about a sign of really interesting upside opportunity, that there are still some people that don't take niche sports seriously, broadly defined? I don't mean it necessarily NLL, but I mean it necessarily everything except the Big Four.
Bother me, no. I'm glad it's there though, because it's the fuel that feeds the fire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, Rick, but years and years ago they said we couldn't build a stadium in New York. And we built the stadium in New York, and then when I came to Philadelphia, everybody rolled their eyes and said, "You're going to build what, where, and play what in it?" And I built a beautiful stadium, and it packs the house every game. So I love when people say you can't do something, because that's just the fuel that feeds the fire, and you got to have that. You got to embrace that if you're doing this kind of stuff.
Are your owners patient? Do they follow your business plan? Do they understand what this is going to take?
Well, of course not. Owners shouldn't be patient, and I'm like an owner, so I always go into a project acting and feeling and thinking like an owner. And you shouldn't be patient, but you also have to know and understand, and it's my job to educate our ownership as to why things take certain timelines and why we need to start with the fundamentals and grow them over time. Nothing ever works out the way you planned, right? So you've got a contingency plan, but it's all about being educated, educating the constituencies, which include owners, include sponsors, broadcast partners, and fans. And that's, I believe, the role of the commissioner is to really take that leadership position and try to educate everyone and bring everyone into the mix in a collaborative way to share the information and make good decisions.
A couple more. Nick Sakevich, Commissioner, National Lacrosse League. Without getting specific as to each one, you got Bettman, you got Rob Manfred, new to the job. Gary Bettman is now the oldest tenured commissioner, which I remind him all the time. We've got Roger and now Adam Silver, also new to the job. What common traits, as you assess those four and their successes and maybe negatives, what are the common traits that you see that you would like to emulate?
Well, listen, I know Adam well. Have a huge amount of respect for him. Obviously, I know Don Garber well. We worked together and toiled for many years building Major League Soccer. I think the thing that I love most about those guys that I know is that they really try to step back and be thoughtful when they make their decisions and not just make knee-jerk reactions or emotions. Our business is inherently emotional, and having spent most of my career on the team side, I know the emotions that owners or presidents or GMs go through. But what I admire most about all those guys and the job that they have done is that they have a great ability to step back, assess, look at all sides, and really attempt to make a fair and balanced decision. And stepping into this role day one, I promised myself that I would try to adhere to that mantra and philosophy and just try to make, because that every decision is not popular, right? You got to make very difficult ones and sometimes unpopular decisions, but I always want to make sure we take the time to think about it, to be thoughtful, to be strategic, consider the effect on the league, the effect on the individual teams, if those are individual teams that are involved in that decision, and just be thoughtful and strategic about it. I think that's really, really important. And frankly, that can be said for any role of a business leader, whether it's a CEO, a president, an owner of a small business, or commissioner of a league.
Nick Sakevich, interesting perspective in a whole lot of ways. Soccer, lacrosse, business, and life. Be back with Bust, Boom, and Hope in just a couple of minutes. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. See you in a couple.
We all know healthcare has changed drastically. It's quite the puzzle to sort through your options and find a health insurance plan that's affordable and maximizes your benefits. And you're now required by law to have health insurance, or you may pay a tax penalty. So let the Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. They offer plans from over 120 different companies and can even help you obtain government subsidies. Let them do all the research for you and show you how affordable health insurance can be, a service that's at no extra cost to you. Call now and learn your options to find affordable health insurance. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA or assumed name of Inspire Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is a licensed insurance agency in all 50 states and D.C. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service availability varies by state.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, damages and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion hip settlement fund. Call now for free information. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. That's 800-296-1360.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. Had diverse guests on the show today. Pat Risch, Washington University of St. Louis Sports Law Program. Lou Shear, the CRO of the U.S. Open. Nick Sikevich, the commissioner of the National Lacrosse League. And now it's time for Bust, Boom, and Hope, the troubling, the good, and the creative in the economy. First, bust. Several former college football players officially filed class action lawsuits claiming negligence over their handling of head injuries, according to the New York Times. Players are from Penn State, Vanderbilt, Big Ten, SEC, Pac-12, Auburn, University of Georgia, and other schools targeted. Marks a new effort by athletes seeking financial relief for what they say are lasting effects from concussions sustained in their college careers. Those filing the lawsuits played during the decades which the NCAA did not require its members to undergo concussion protocols, changed in 2010. Boom! Big things are happening in Philadelphia. To go along with receiving the first pick in the upcoming NBA draft, the Sixers also signed the NBA's first jersey patch advertising deal. StubHub signed on to a 3-year agreement with the franchise, paying them $5 million annually, part of a 3-year pilot program, selling 2.5 by 2.5 inch pieces. And the bottom line is the 76ers got a lot of dollars, maybe $5 million. The Lakers are on the clock, and the Knicks to see how much they could get. And then finally, hope. 19, 20, 21 Super Bowls decided next week, and on paper, New Orleans looks like the best option. Fan-friendly downtown footprint, world-class nightlife, extensive hotel room advertisement. Atlanta, L.A., Miami considered also prohibitive favorites to win the bid. Stephen Ross, $400 million in renovating the stadium, and New Orleans stadium improvements, but L.A. and Atlanta, big cities featuring brand new state-of-the-art facilities ready in that rotation, and that's one of the things the NFL looks at. It certainly looks like a competitive derby for the opening and the stadiums, but also the selection of the Super Bowl. We'd like to thank Pat Risch, Lou Shear, Nick Sikevich for making our show diverse and interesting for all. Join us next week when once again we go Beyond the Scoreboard.